Hello.
Hey.
How are you, Jon?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for accepting
pleasure.
our invitation. We are here with Jon Bryant. Welcome to your podcast, everyone. This is Música y Mezcal. We're going to start off with a nice cheers on the mezcal.
Yes.
You can go ahead and have it all, or you can just sip it as we usually
What are you
do.
going to...
We sip.
We'll
We
sip,
just
yeah.
So nice.
That's really nice.
It is.
It's
really
been a
nice.
while for me. I haven't had much like mezcal in a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been off the booze for a bit, but
Oh, I'm
slowly
sorry.
getting back on. No, it's not for any reason. I'm just like, it's been such a hectic couple weeks, and I just haven't had time to go out. And,
Yeah. We usually sometimes have like those kind of I don't know, seasons of
just
not
abstinence.
drinking.
Yeah.
Not for maybe there
Thank
was
you.
one night. Yeah. Maybe there was one night that you were like,
Yeah.
I don't feel well, and I'm gonna stay away from alcohol for a bit. But then you go back to it because it's nice.
It's great.
Especially mezcal. I love mezcal.
Yeah, it's the spice of life.
Yeah. So, how are you? How was your... well, first of all, you just released Hibernation.
Yeah.
So, if you want to tell us about your new single.
Yeah, it just came out today. I wrote it, I think 2 years ago, sat on it for so long. And then I was recording in Nashville last summer, and I was a little drunk, and I started listening to old demos, and this song came up. It was a demo of the song, and I don't know, it just kind of hit me like, this is a really great song. And for some reason, I had slept on it for a while. I'd kind of forgotten how much I loved it. And so anyway, I in Nashville, I decided, okay, I'm going to record this song. And so a couple months later, we did that. And it just came out today. I'm really proud of it.
Nice. We just heard it. I don't know, because your music is like melancholic and very nostalgic, and it has this kind of ethereal background feeling to it, which is always it sets the mood for a very chill, nice kind of listening to music.
Yeah.
But so this song, I didn't know if it was a happy song or a sad song, but I feel what I heard or what I felt when I heard it. It's a little bit like some distancing between two people.
Yeah.
Is it? Did I get it right?
Yeah, totally.
Some kind of distancing between them, and just trying to figure out maybe this isn't really working. Is it was your headspace during the moment you were making that song in a particular moment in time, or was it more like you were remembering something that happened some time ago, and you were like, this really needs to have a song about that feeling of distancing yourself from another person?
I think it's a culmination of a few moments in my life where I have felt I needed space. And I think when you're living your life, sometimes you'll often go through transitions or periods where you have to do things alone or go at it alone, without all the input from other people that kind of clouds your judgment. I think it can relate to a lot of different relationships, and for me, over COVID, relationships got strained, and sometimes you just have to step away from them, and that's the best thing for them, and then come back at a later time. Life is just a succession of transitions, and you're always going through them, and they will always come your way. And it's just, you have to take it a day at a time, and sometimes you just have to go at it alone.
Yeah.
And sort of just sit with yourself and figure who you are. I think for me, I was thinking about it on the drive over. I don't know if I don't feel like a teenager. I don't feel like I'm in my 20s anymore. When I'm in my late 30s. I don't really. How do I put this? It's just
you're in between. You feel like you're in between a little bit.
Yeah, I'm in the in between stage, and it's cool, but it's also you're saying goodbye to some things, some stages of your life.
Yeah.
And you can look at it, it's all about perspective. Like if you can have a negative or a positive perspective, and I often choose the positive, or I try to choose the positive. And yeah, it's just, yeah, the song's about all of that. And I don't know. Yeah. I ask people what they think it's about, and sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that's an interesting take, And I think leaving music open to interpretation, I think that's one thing I like to do. I don't like to have definitive things, definitive ideas in my music.
Yeah, I guess it's not like put it in a box, because at the end of the day, like music constantly evolves. So like a song should be able to not just be in a box, but like also like evolve in its own way with other people. And did you feel that once you was there, because you mentioned you didn't release it because you had been sitting on it. Was there now a moment now that you like something clicked, like, oh, was it just like because I loved it, or was it like, oh, I actually feel like a lot better and I can be able to like just like process it, like being able to analyze it and then say like, oh, this goes here, this doesn't go here, I can take this off?
I think being a songwriter, there are songs I write where I don't feel like they're my songs, like they're for somebody else. And I kind of felt that way about Hibernation at the beginning. I was like, I don't know if this is for me. It doesn't feel like me. But then I grew into it, and it took about a year. But yeah, it's funny how a song will catch you off guard. There are songs now that are 7 years old, 8 years old, that I am revisiting, and I'm like, maybe this is for me now, maybe this is for this time. It maybe feels more authentic now than it did back then.
And so I did some homework.
Oh yeah, nice.
And I know that you, early on in your career, you would, first write the melody, and then, just first the melody and then approach like the rest of the song. Did that change like in any way during COVID? Like, do you think that COVID sort of made you, because I feel like it did happen for a bunch of musicians and artists in general, or people in general. Yeah. But like how you tackle a task or a problem or, a hobby, like sometimes, because you had all of this moment, or everyone had all of this moment, and now you had like the time and the headspace to like hone it, or just like break the rules, break through. So did you feel like before, like, has that changed, or are you still like doing, when you sit down, you first do the melody, and is it still like a thing that is occurring, or has it changed?
I think it's still kind of the same. I think melody is the most the most infectious thing at first. It's like that's what gets people. It draws people in. The quality, the tone of the voice, the production, the way it's mixed, the melody, all encompassed in this package. And then there's like this layer of lyric. Then you hook them. I feel like this is how it works with music. You get hooked with the melody, and then the lyric content is what kind of draws out the emotion, or draws out what the listener
is already feeling.
Didn't know that they were meant to hear, or they heard a take on an idea that they haven't been able to express, and there's the take that I was looking for. And then it's just, there's a reaction to it. And I think starting with that hook, I think it's worked for me. I mean, I think it works for other people. That's what Kurt Cobain said years ago, and I'm like, yeah,
that makes sense.
That makes sense. His melodies were incredible. So, but there were aspects of that especially with the pandemic, because I did a 50 songs in 50 days kind of stretch of writing.
I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, so I wrote a lot of music, and not all of it was very good. But I tried different things within that 50-day stretch. Like I'd start journaling one day, I'd like sit with a word and then meditate. And then if something came to me in meditation, I would write the phrase down or the idea down. And then the next day I'd start with a drum beat, and that's it. So I would just experiment, and that was kind of the silver lining of those first months.
Of COVID.
Yeah.
Do you feel that, so you started playing keys, right?
Yeah.
And then, so you play guitar now.
Yeah.
Do you feel like do you play other instruments?
Not really well. I mean, I can play bass. I can play like drums really on a basic level. But yeah, I'd say guitar and keys.
Guitar, yeah. Do you want to play any other instruments? Or do you feel sometimes like you're sitting on a song or in an idea, you're like, I wish I knew how to, I don't know, like play the violin or whatever.
Yeah.
Just so I could like, put whatever this is in my head into like materialize it for the song.
Yeah, I think I played banjo too. I forgot to mention.
Oh, nice.
I forgot I played in a bluegrass band for like 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I do play banjo. I kind of fake it. I'm not that great, but I can play enough that I can get by.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to learn like saxophone or violin or cello. Like one of those instruments would be awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. And did you feel any need to like go to those instruments during the pandemic? Or not really? Was it just like, no, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing?
Yeah, I was like, I need to make an album. And I can't do a saxophone album. I think my label would be pretty pissed.
Like, no, what is this, Jon?
Yeah, we can't release this.
Yeah.
Write us an acoustic singer-songwriter album, please. Okay.
I also.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Apologies.
it tends to do that. It's fine.
There, better.
Have you ever seen the meme or video meme or whatever of like the priest whenever there's like a big like boom like that one? And
the gong.
Yeah, we're gonna do.
It's like a Tibetan bowl. Bing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like meditating. Okay.
We can do one of those for this moment.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And then so you released Hibernation. You've been releasing. This is a single.
Yeah.
What's your plans for like? Is it like part of an album of a bigger idea? Yeah. Okay.
We haven't announced the album yet, but it's. I guess I just did. Kinda. Yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
I've been whispering about it, but I've been working on it for a while, and for the past 4 years, I've just been releasing singles and EPs. I did 3 EPs, and then a bunch of other singles, and now I finally have a collection of songs that I think all fit together. So, yeah, this is the first.
Okay.
First of hopefully about 10 or 12 songs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you usually approach your like the album or your EPs like for like a whole concept where they sort of tell a story, like a base story between them, or is it more like, well, I just feel like it's the same mood, or how do you like?
I get some like feedback here and there, but I usually know like I think during the pandemic I had so many songs that I wasn't really writing in like with themes in mind.
Yeah.
They were just like snippets. Every day would be like a different idea because I was constantly changing the way I was writing, or trying to at least. And so the EPs were a bit of a mishmash of a few different concepts, and then. One EP is called Psychedelic Salutations, was like really pop infused and explored like psychedelics and that kind of world. And then this album coming out, I think it's gonna be pretty end of the world focused. Unfortunately, I feel like we're all like
which is very ad hoc.
Yeah, it's very of the time. So yeah, but I think but. Also, and it's not. I'm not writing like, end of the world music. It's just like if the world was ending, what would the little snapshots of hope look like? And I think that's where I want to go with it.
Yeah. So still that same like positive kind of.
Yeah. Like I think of like a highway of like cars driving away from like Los Angeles or New York, and then one car driving into it.
Yeah.
And like we're going to chase our dreams, like that hope, that like against all odds kind kind of idea is what I want to put out. So, yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. So also very good for these times.
Yeah, totally.
Because it does feel sometimes very like overwhelming and just,
Yeah, a bit
like
hopeless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why we have you. We have your
Yeah.
music. So I also wanted to ask you about your early days.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you something kind of like silly, which is a funny story that I heard about you, but I don't know if it's still happening. So, do you still moon people?
No, that was just in high school. Holy smokes. How do you know that? Oh my gosh. I thought my past was gone, but it's come back. Yeah. I haven't mooned anyone in years.
Nice.
Yeah. It's very inappropriate to do so. And I don't endorse it. Anyone.
Wink. I'm kidding. Yeah.
Unless it's the right person that you're mooning. And then it's cool.
Different.
Then
it's
cool.
different.
Yeah. Unless they need it. You just needed that in their life. Yeah, I guess you probably want to hear that story.
I mean, maybe it would be fun to know.
Yeah.
Like
All right, here we go. I was going to school in Saskatchewan to a little Christian boarding school. And friends of mine wanted to go to this concert. It was a Coldplay concert in Calgary, so we drove 8 hours. And one of my friends he's a videographer. He had filmed some, it was the early days of like, I don't know, it wasn't even YouTube yet. It was just like people would film stuff and they'd put it up on like maybe on the internet, but it would just be shared around with friends. Anyway, he came up with this idea, like, why don't we make a video or video you mooning people and we'll get their reactions. It was kind of around that video. It was kind of around that Jackass era. Yeah, it's on video. It's somewhere. I don't know if Jordy has it. I could reach out and find out. Actually, you know what? I remember watching the video. It's pretty funny. It's actually pretty funny.
well, I bet. I mean,
yeah. It's incredible. Anyway, yeah. So I mooned like 100 people on that trip. I mooned a bunch of Amish people, and they actually thought it was pretty funny. They were the ones who took it really well.
Oh, nice.
And it was the last person that I mooned that called the cops on me, and she flipped out. She was really mad, and I was like, "Oh, what have I done?" And
Sorry.
I was pulling up my pants. I'm like, "Oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I've made the wrong decision here. I mooned the wrong person." And anyway, she called the cops, and the cops actually started looking for me, and they didn't see me or couldn't find me for about a week. They just patrolled this little town.
So they were, wow.
They patrolled the town for a week. This one cop, and he was, God bless him, he was probably the most bored cop on the whole earth, the whole planet. He had nothing to do but look for an 18-year-old who just mooned one person.
I'll find this
as far as he
mooner.
knew.
Like,
Yeah.
be my last. Yeah.
I'm going to find this young man, teach him a thing or two about decency.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just remember I was in like art class making pottery, and I hear this announcement. It's like, Jon Bryant, please report to the dean's office. And so I went down. And
Did you know that moment, like, oh, it's about this? Or was it like, what? What's...
I had an inkling because I knew a friend of mine was like, hey, the cops are looking for you, right? And I'm like,
Are they?
I'm just going to pretend this isn't happening. So I go to class. I was like, do I turn myself in? Like, what do I, I've never been in this scenario. So anyway, I went to the dean's office. He had this big grin on his face. He was just like, he was cool. I liked him. He was like, what did you do, man? I was like, and he had this southern accent, and I can't remember where he's from, but he's just like, I remember him being like, what did you do, man? I was like, what did you hear? Anyway,
it depends.
It
depends.
He's like, we got the cops looking for you. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I just said, listen, I mooned some people. He's like, yeah, they got it on tape. You're in big trouble. And then I felt like he was like, you're okay, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's a slap on the wrist. So I got suspended. I actually, for 3 days, I got to work with this really nice old dude. We went to the junkyard every day, just carrying garbage, and It was like really nice. I stayed at his place. It was like a vacation. So take that. Take that, school board of
Yeah.
Camport.
Exactly.
That's awesome
Okay.
that you know that, though.
And so it was so funny when I heard it. I was like, "What? Wait, what?"
Where did you hear that? How did you?
There is a podcast where you tell the story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I went deep.
Yeah. That's
'Cause
amazing.
I just wanted to have like a fun story.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so
So when you were in that age, like during that time, you were obviously already like inclined to, like for music. And do you feel, because you used to have more like folksy kind of music, which now I understand why you played banjo and like, okay, yeah, I understand now. So do you feel like something, like why did you make that decision to, like, do you still want to play folk, like that kind of folk music? Or was it more like, well, during that age, that's what I was like hearing and that's what I was influenced by. So, I that's the music that I wanted to play.
Yeah. I think it was just when I started writing music, I was listening to like metal, heavy metal, emo, and then like really soft acoustic kind of ballady music. I loved it, and I loved all of it. And so I had this choice of like, which direction would I want to go if I could? And I just started thinking like, if I could, I would like to play in a band, but then I'd have to find a band. And that seemed like
too much of a...
I didn't know enough people. I didn't know anyone. I probably knew people, but I was like, it just seems like a lot of work. And I saw a lot of bands break up at that time too. Bands that I was like, you're awesome. Like, why would you break up? And they're like, well, we just couldn't make it work. It's like, because you have other people you have to worry about. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do this on my own. And so the singer-songwriter thing was like the most feasible, because it's like, I can bring a guitar. I just need a little car, and I can maybe make a little money with this if I'm frugal, if I sleep on people's couches. And then that kind of like snowballed into making more acoustic music. I made a few albums of like really folksy stuff, and then it built into like indie acoustic and indie folk and into some pop leanings, and now like it's a bit of like a blend of everything, right? So
what were your influences? Like you said, you were going to a Coldplay concert. But what were you like? What bands were you listening to? You said emo and
at that
heavy
age?
metal. Yeah.
Like at that age, 18.
Do you still go back to it? Like,
Yeah.
to your like favorite bands back then? Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I go down that like nostalgia tunnel and just and I'm like, it's amazing how music is a time portal.
Yeah.
I'm transported back to memories.
Yeah.
It's like it unlocks little memories I'd completely forgotten about.
Yeah.
Like some like I remember listening to a lot of Matt Good that year. Matthew Good band. I don't know if you heard. If you ever heard him. Yeah. My friend Matt Mays, I was listening to a lot of his music. I had some Coldplay playing. August and Everything After, the Counting Crows.
Oh wow, yeah.
I was listening to them a lot. Actually, funny story. I was in New York a couple years ago, and I played this little music festival in the East Village. So I go to this apartment. It's in someone's house, like an apartment, like a little bigger than this.
Yeah.
And I show up, and I'm so tired. I'd just flown all night. Drop my guitar. I start talking to this guy, and I'm like, hey man, all right, so I'm just gonna. Can I have a coffee? And then I didn't even recognize what was going on. I had no idea my surroundings. It was like, I'll just put my guitar down and I'll do sound check and then play. But I go to the bathroom. So I'm peeing and I look around, and it's all of the awards that Counting Crows won. Oh. And I'm in Adam's apartment. I'm the lead singer's apartment.
Oh,
it was the weirdest, like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And so then I have to go play at like 11 a.m. for this hero, for my, this.
You're like, I didn't sleep. I don't feel like.
Yeah, I was just like, what have I stepped into now? Damien Rice. I was into Neil Young. I was into, all the greats like Dylan and Fleetwood Mac. Like, yeah.
What do you listen to now? Like, what do you sometimes like to get into like the right headspace? Do you like put music on, or do you like go silent so you can, hone your own thoughts into a song or something?
I really find it easy to write when I listen to music. But it's hard to write when I find when I'm starting from like a really clear mind. It's not hard. It's just
it's noise.
You're not trying to make it sound like something else, or you're not, even subconsciously, you're trying to wipe all that out and just focus on like, what is the core idea of what you want to create right now. And so when I do that, which I don't do it very much, I wish I did it more. I have a pretty overactive mind, so I like to just start writing and not take the moment. But when I do take that time and kind of get into a zen of a mood or a vibe, and then just follow it, that's where I find magic happens. That's like one of my songs, Light. I just remember it was like 3 hours of like being floating into like this floating on a vibe. That's how this is the way I can explain it. It's like I'm just like, now I'm up here, and then 3 hours later I'm down.
Yeah.
And I came out with this idea, this song. I don't know. It's a mystery.
Do you have like you mentioned right now that sometimes like music is like this time portal.
Yeah.
So what I can think of is like sometimes when I listen to, I don't know, whatever music I was listening to when I was in junior high or high school. I remember I loved Sum 41.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I loved them. So whenever, like, I know that, like, I know that's like a fact of, of my life. But then when I hear a song that I haven't heard of, like, from Sum 41 from like a while back, when I hear it now, I'm like, oh, and it's like, I don't know, a certain line or maybe like a certain beat or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I remember I felt this in this way. And, like I was here.
You probably remember where you were, right?
Yeah, like everything. And you can remember, like, you can sort of, like, I can feel the heat of my city and like the dusty, the dust that's like, cause I'm from a semi-desertic place.
Yeah.
And like everything I can, the car, everything.
It's tangible.
Yeah.
It's so like right there.
Yeah, like it's right there. But then I mean, I don't write music, so I don't do anything with it. It's just like a nice memory. Do you have those moments where you're, listening to music from before that you used to, or whatever song that has that like nostalgic kind of time portal, and then you're like, I want to write about this feeling?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've ever like actively tried to do that, but I've probably done it without even noticing.
Yeah, without realizing.
Yeah, because there are, it's nice to write about the past. It's right, whether it's like yesterday or, a year ago or 15 years ago. So, yeah, like, it is a great way to reference the past because, you put on Fat Lip and it's like, I remember the first time I heard it, I was in drama class. And I remember it being like a cloudy day. And I remember my friend Mike telling me like, dude, you got to check out this song. And he played it for me. And like, I remember where I was sitting in the room. It's just so weird how it does that, right?
Yeah.
It's a trip.
Yeah, it's a total, it's so... Yeah, it's weird, but in a cool way, I guess. And then would you like feel that, I wanted to ask like a follow-up question to that. Because you mentioned earlier that you, I lost my train of thought.
What was that?
He's
like,
closer.
I know, I can tell you.
Yeah.
We're just segueing from, just being transported.
Like a time when, I totally forgot what I was going to say.
No, that's all right.
Well, whatever, it's fine.
It'll come.
Yeah, it'll come. If not, then it wasn't that important to ask.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
Do you feel that like your music is right now like very different, or like touches you differently now than before? Like when you listen to it, like when you played like you listen to your first album. If you listen to your first album, like does it touch you in a different way now? Or do you still have that moment where you go back to it and it's like, oh, this is exactly what I felt?
there are things about it that I think, like my first album, for instance, there are parts of it that I'm so proud of, and then there are other things I'm like, I wish I could have done that differently.
Oh.
It's just self-analysis. But it's
like
but
not
it's,
emotionally, just more like technically.
yeah, it's just more technical stuff. But then emotionally, I'm like, well, who was I? There's a part of me that's, and again with the new single, it's like I was a different person. I've gone into different like modes of myself so many times that person that wrote those songs
It's kind of foreign.
12 or 13 years ago is sort of foreign to me now. And I'm like, I don't really know what my mindset was back then. I was a very, very different person. Very, you know, I was naive and I was young and I was, you know, I had a perspective on life that was, that wasn't jaded, I guess.
Yeah.
Not to say that I'm super jaded, but I just, when you go through life and you go through a lot of shit, and you see enough of what the world is, it changes you and your perspective. And but I've tried to maintain like I guess the positivity within that. And like, even though there's all sorts of shit that happens, it's just like maintain that positive outlook and keep putting out music that brings people closer to like
a sense of hope and like, yeah,
we need that.
Yeah.
Humans need that, I think.
Yeah, like totally.
Yeah.
We've got, do you think, you mentioned also earlier that some of the songs sometimes aren't necessarily like yours, like when you're doing them, you're writing them, you're like, well, this isn't really who I am. When you're writing them though, do you feel like it's sort of like a character? Like, do you visualize a character going through that, whatever that you're writing?
Yeah.
And do you have those characters like sort of come back to you into like, oh, like this is sort of like, you know, this version of Jon, or, you know, or this character that I created 5 years ago for this song. And now it's like back for this other, like, you know, like
he's back for another one.
Yeah.
He wants another hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Like, you know, that's the fun of music, is like you can, or being an artist in general, is like you can play a character if you want, and you can be, as long as you're authentic to that version of yourself. Maybe a version you've never lived personally, but you've maybe seen in someone you know, or you've seen it happen. And it's important to you to like tell that story. That's as long as you do it authentically and you know, from a place of, that's an amazing way to continue writing over the course of your life, because you run out of, I wouldn't say you run out of ideas, but you run out of like critical moments in your life that you can really like mine for ideas, creative ideas.
Yeah.
So you start to, you can go inward, but also look to other stories and find a way to connect yourself to those stories and tell them. Yeah, truthfully.
Wow. Yeah. Would you consider like, sorry, I was distracted by a hair.
Oh yeah, get it. That has no place here.
Yeah, I was like, what is that? Go away. Would you consider maybe doing like a different genre, like for that like specific character maybe that you would have? Or is it more like, no, it's just like what the song is about and like the beat but it's still like, you know?
I think, yeah, that's a really good question. I've started producing some like house music, like deep house and future rave kind of stuff that I really enjoy. I love EDM right now. So, yeah, I think tapping into a bit of a different genre, like tapping into a different genre also incorporates tapping into a different side of myself that maybe I don't exploit when I'm writing in like my folk genre or my folk kind of expression.
Because it's different, like it taps into different emotions.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, this emotion isn't really like highlighted with this genre. Like with this one, like I sort of want to explore it more. So you sort of maybe look for experiences that kind of like feed into that emotion, so you can like maybe be more inspired or.
Yeah, and thinking about, okay, who's going to be listening to this song and where are they going to be and what are they going to be doing?
Yeah.
And with any sort of like dance music, rave stuff, it's like, it's you're there to have fun.
Yeah.
You want to like, you just want to have the best time of your life. And I could reference them. I have referenced them in my folk stuff, but not explicitly.
Okay.
It's more metaphorically, just so that it doesn't like, so the emotions don't get confused. Like if you're driving, I don't know, maybe you like to listen to EDM when you drive. I have no idea, but like I've been told a lot that people like listening to my music when they drive.
Oh, okay.
And I do keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I do keep that in mind. Just like, where's the setting? What's set and setting? What's happening when people listen to my stuff?
I guess it also depends, like not just driving, but maybe like when you're driving, like where,
like a road trip. Maybe.
Yeah, like at what time, and like because I used to be an English teacher, I don't know how many years ago. Whatever years ago.
Cool.
But it was in this town that was an hour away from my town.
Yeah.
And it was a company that was paying, or was like, paying us, the school that I worked for, to teach its employees.
Okay.
So I would have to drive before they would clock in to work.
An hour before.
Yeah. So, and they would clock in, so they would start work at 8.
Yeah.
So we had to have class from 7 to 8.
Oh, wow.
Which meant I had to drive at 6 a.m. So wake up at 5 or whatever. And I was in my early 20s. So I obviously was like partying and drinking and going out. And I remember that my go-to was whenever I would drive, whenever I would have to give that class, I would listen to Metallica and just like put like
the window
down and just like a dog outside with my hair, just like I need to not sleep because I slept like 1 hour and I still sort of feel alcohol in my in my bloodstream. Like I'm not sure I'm
You're
like
right on
completely
that line.
sober. Yeah, like or if I take one sip, I'm just gonna be right up there again.
Yeah.
So I would listen to Metallica, but it isn't really a go-to for me to listen to Metallica on a road trip.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
like for that moment, I was like, I need James right now. I need him to
You need James Hetfield to just like sail you into wherever you got to go.
Yeah, and get
awesome.
So I had to
Yeah.
So it depends, but sometimes I'm like I want to listen to John Mayer.
Totally.
And so it's like it has like those different kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, set and setting.
Yeah. Yeah, so it depends. Do you feel that you have or do you have muses have you had muses in your life? Have you had like a constant muse, whether it be, like a place or a person, someone that has been, or someone or somewhere that has been constant to be a muse for you and your music, and people that have been, or someone who have been like an intermittent muse or like just temporary muses?
I've had muses throughout my whole career. And it's usually been, women have inspired many of the songs. And then, and travels. I think traveling and just the curiosity around everything, that all the experiences that life can offer me, that too has just been such a muse. I grew up traveling. My mom was a flight attendant, so
oh wow,
we got like super cheap flights to anywhere until we were 25.
Nice.
So I went everywhere I could, because it was like $20 a flight,
Wow.
So I was really lucky to have that, and to travel and like
it opens up your brain.
Yeah.
Like so much.
Yeah, like backpacking through Europe for 6 months without any money was kind of a crazy experience, and just all the people you meet and who help you, and those experiences I like crave, like I still do. Like I love traveling. I'm going on a road trip to LA this next week, and I can't wait.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Is it for any particular reason? Are you playing down there?
No, not playing. Just going down to hang out for the month, write a ton,
Okay.
produce some more music, and just to get out, see a different part of the world again.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been so many times, but it's like, it'll be nice to avoid November in Vancouver.
Yeah.
That's actually the main reason, I'm going to be honest.
Well, it's a great reason.
It's still
It's a great reason.
It's still damn hot down there.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, I got to enjoy it.
Yeah, I wish I could. I could.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Do you travel?
I do, not right now. I did, I was an exchange student in France, in the northern part of France, for 6 months. So I didn't have to.
Yeah.
But I sort of did have to like travel because like I was already
Sure.
there. And I remember when I was a student over there, both of my parents got fired from their job. Yeah,
shoot.
it was like shitty. I mean,
in Mexico?
Yeah, I mean they were let go alongside with like hundreds of workers because that company like broke.
Oh shoot. Okay.
They went bankrupt, so everyone was without a job.
Yeah.
But it happened right when I was over there.
Dang.
So I remember like I was talking with my mom and dad, and they were like, "So you need to like maybe look for something that can give you, you know, a few little bucks here and there, a few euros, because like things are tight over here."
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember I would eat like only 2 times a day.
Yep.
And just like pasta.
Yeah.
And just,
Nutella and bread.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And I would obviously prefer to travel more than you know, just or eat. Because I was, you know, because I was like, you know, I could either buy this, you know, this train ticket for like 12 euros, or I could go and have like a meal, and I'd be like,
meal.
nah. I'm just gonna go home. I'm gonna hop on the train.
Yeah. You get a baguette for $1.
Yeah, exactly.
Bottle of wine for $2 or €2 or something like that.
Exactly.
I remember getting cheese and wine in France for like €4 and just drinking and eating cheese that night. It was the most. I met this really sweet dude, and we just spent the night hanging out, drinking wine and cheese. This guy I met on the train. It was so cool. Yeah. Yeah. I still actually think I should reach out. Like, there's so many people from like 15 years ago that I would love to just be like, hey, I don't know if you remember, but we met.
Yeah.
We met and
shared a baguette
in Cinque Terre in Italy. And we just hung out on a train for like 4 hours, and you know, just stuff like that would be really cool.
You should probably do. I mean, it would be really fun. Sometimes so my way of seeing it is like, if I remember them, it doesn't mean that they will remember me. But if I remember like those kind of people during certain moments of my life, pretty sure some of them will also remember, you know, some of those people, and maybe I am some of those people that they remember that went through a similar like shared experience. Because there's some people that are just like, do you remember that we sort of met at the, you know, the washroom of a bar, and then like we talked a bunch, and then we became like best friends for the night, and then we ended up going to another bar and and had a really like cool conversation. We exchanged you know, Facebook or whatever, and then never spoke to each other, but we had a very intense
you had that moment.
Like that very intense talk about something that you might have realized like that in that moment feels sort of like, oh my God, this is like so revealing, and I don't know. So I feel like some people that like, I remember some people that made me, you know, think that way or feel that way, like, oh, this is a really interesting way of thinking about this specific topic or, you know, matter.
I remember the guy I'm thinking about that I met. He was the first openly gay dude that I met ever. Like, maybe that's not true. I don't know. But it was the first like time I'd ever had a conversation with somebody who was gay, who talked about it so openly. And
you were like, wow.
That wasn't on TV or wasn't like... I'm trying to think. Did I... Yeah. Anyway, it was just enlightening. It was like really like, he was just a straight shooter just talking to me like, this is what it, you know. So
like this happened, and this happens, and this happens.
And again, it was like I was traveling. I was 18, I'd been homeschooled. I went to a Christian school, then I went to a public school for a few years, then back to a boarding school. And I never really had those conversations with people, with anyone that was gay. So it was really cool to just get that perspective. And then that just popped in my head. I was like, that was really cool. Like that set me on a course to like understand better, like what it's all about. And so it just broadened my perspective.
Yeah. I mean, you should probably reach out. Maybe if they do remember, then cool. If they don't, then...
Joe from Boston, if you're out there. That's his name, Joe. Joe from Boston. I remember that much.
That's so funny.
He's a sweet guy.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you want some more?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
That's what it's for.
Let's go.
Do you want a beer also? Or do you want to keep sipping on the coffee?
Ooh. I'll do a beer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I'll do a beer.
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely. This is going well.
Yeah. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to that.
Thank you so much. Oh, gracias. I'm actually, this Tuesday, I'm taking my first Spanish lesson.
Oh, really?
I'm taking 10 classes, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Is it for like a specific, like a voice acting thing or just?
No, it's just for me. A friend of mine, he's from Colombia, or his mom's from Colombia, and she taught Spanish in Nova Scotia, where I grew up.
Oh, wow.
And so she's retired now, and when I was playing in Calgary, where she now lives, she was with her son at his place, and she was just like, hey, if you want to learn Spanish, because I learned how to roll my R's because of this video game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this video game, Resident Evil 4, taught me I had to learn how to roll my R's so that I could speak an authentic Spanish accent. So I don't know if it's actually authentic. I have no idea. I'm not Spanish, but then it was like, she did this like tongue twister, this R, like yeah, something like that.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
well, that's
all the R's like just lined up. Every R. Oh, do you know it's like a?
I don't know. Well, there's another one in Mexico that's archi requete recontra rica, but I don't know if it's archi requete recontra rica.
I don't know if
or
it's
archi
that one.
requete recontra rico.
Crazy.
But it's in, I don't know if it's like in all Latin America or just in Mexico.
Okay.
Or maybe just in my hometown. I don't know.
Yeah. She got me.
And it doesn't mean anything. It's just
a thing. Yeah. That one, I feel like maybe I've heard it though. Sounds familiar.
I mean,
Archi
requete recontra rica.
Oh my gosh, I'm lost. Let me
It's like
drink another beer and then I'll try.
Yeah. They'll roll smoother.
That's funny.
So the thing, can you do like the one R and the two R's? So there's like perro.
Perro.
So that's like the double R, and then there's like the one R, which is like
perro or
pero. Yeah, like
perro.
So like dog is perro, and then like but like the preposition but is pero.
Pero.
Yeah, you got it.
Perro and perro.
Yeah, you got
Okay,
it.
cool.
Yeah, so you can do because then it's tricky. It's like someone can do maybe can do the double R, or sometimes can do like one R, but not both. So you can do both, which is fine.
Yeah, I actually had a good dialect coach that helped me. He was from Spain too. He was like on the call, like ready to.
Like, hey, how do I say this line?
I'm in the mocap like uniform, like I got all the dots on me, and then I go into this room and I'm like, "What's up, man? Hola," and he's like, so he read me the line, and it was funny. It was just a funny experience.
Do you incorporate any of those like experiences as a voice actor into your music somehow? Like, because I feel like it is kind of, it's like very different. I know it's like, it's still in the artistic world.
Yeah.
It's still in the arts.
Yep.
And you're using your voice, like,
Yeah.
but it's just, I don't know, like, is it?
I've never thought to write about it, but maybe I should.
Or like, do you feel like how you approach something? Like, would it be?
With music? Mm-hmm. Do I approach it from like a voice actor kind of perspective now a bit?
Yeah. Like, because you do have that like folk background, which is very like storytelling and so do you have like that kind of like, I want to approach this song in a voice acting kind of mentality?
I think the quality or the tonality of my voice, I think more about now more than ever. Which is why when I listen to my first album, I'm like, the tone was off. Like, or the, little technical things with my voice. I'm like, oh, I could have done that better, differently. But yeah, it probably does. Yeah, probably does affect it.
Because in voice acting, do you, like, you sort of have these, I'm not sure if this is correct, but you can't just like read a line. Like if it's a happy line, let's say, like you actually have to be like, you know,
very
so
happy.
you can, so you can actually sort of, even though you're not seeing it, like I'm not seeing you, and they're gonna, you know, draw something that is gonna, you know, be.
Yeah, it's gonna be the representation of that voice.
Of that, you still have to like say it in a like actually smiling.
Totally,
Do you have that in? I know Dua Lipa did this in one of her songs, at least that I know of.
Yeah.
And she says a line of a song which I can't remember.
Yeah.
But she says it smiling, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense, because even when I sing it, I sort of kind of like, it gives me like this smallest grin.
Yeah.
And so she had like this like kind of voice coach, or has a special name.
Yeah.
Where that she told her, like, you have to say it with a grin. And so she does it, and I'm That's like, cool. Oh, that makes sense. So do you like maybe do that? Like when you're singing, you're like, I want to be smiling because this is like a nice kind of like.
Yeah. Actually, there's a song called David Livingston. It's from my second album. I laid on the ground and sang. We just set up the mic and I laid on the ground with like a pillow, and it was just because it's kind of like a mellow, like chill song. Yeah. I'd say like 6 voices on that one take, you know, 6 different voices represented. So when you mix those all together, it sounds like really big. But if you do it really small and like really quiet, and then turn up the gain, it sounds really cool. Like, because you have all these, it's like panned. There's like a voice over here, high, and then a low voice, and then one down the middle, and then like if you want, you could do, you know. Then you got harmonies on top of that. So it's like, you can get really deep with that stuff. And yeah.
Because it's something that you can, I feel like maybe you don't, or I don't know how often musicians think about this when they're, you know, like doing, you know, making their own music. But I feel like if you're a voice actor, you're probably maybe a little bit more aware of it, or like unconsciously maybe. You were like, I want to do this for this song. And because you're a little bit, you're like more aware of this.
Yeah.
Like I had.
So go ahead.
So I remember I went to this, don't know what to call it, but to this like talk or whatever. Yeah. Where someone from the United Nations was talking about how they do interviews.
Oh.
And I remember, so this diplomat said, she was really like, I don't know how people from the United Nations sort of have like this kind of like, you can tell that they're like important somehow because they have like, yes, like they're like, so she was like, she had a lot of presence while she was talking the whole time. And then she talked about how during interviews, whenever they conduct interviews for someone they want to hire, they know if it's on the phone, they know if that person is like sitting down, standing up, pacing, and not because they can hear the person pacing or anything, but they can actually hear it in their voice. Yeah. And when she said that, I was like, oh, that's actually kind of, like you can sort of tell when you're talking. I know it's not that common anymore to like, you know, speak over the phone, but like you sort of remember those moments when you were talking with your friend and you're like, oh, I know she's like probably in her bed.
You're like, you're like laying down. You're like, no, this is how it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or if they're like standing, like
they're a little more muffled, or
Yeah, you can sort of tell. And I feel like if you're a voice actor, you actually know this because you act it like physically, not just, you know, with your voice. Yeah. So
that's interesting. That's really cool. They would be able to identify that for sure. Yeah. I've never thought about that though. Like,
I'm going to listen to your songs now like a lot more. Like, were you doing this during the song, or were you?
One thing I do now is if I do a doubled vocal, but it's like a low vocal and it's down here and I'm singing close to the mic, if I'm singing like da 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 da, it's like really muffled. But if I do this, if I like show my teeth, The producer, this guy I work with, John, he's like, hey, show your teeth a bit more. And I'm like, okay, I know what he means. Because it's like, you enunciate a bit better if you're doing this, it's a bit more muffled. But if you do this, you still get that like frequency, that low frequency, but it's less muffled. It's more clear.
Yeah.
So it's like turning up clarity.
Oh, wow.
Putting like a fresh air plug-in on your vocal, on your low
That's
vocal.
so funny. It's like your face is like has all these buttons, and you're like, oh, more clarity.
Yeah.
And like just
Yeah,
like
just
you know,
lift your upper lip.
like just moving your face into
Yeah.
with buttons and like switches and just that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to release or when the second single for this after Hibernation?
I don't know yet. Now I have to talk to
Your label
people about that. Yeah, I think. Okay, so I have actually I have an EDM remix of a song that I released 12 years ago or 10 years.
Oh, wow.
11 years ago. Yeah, that's. Oh no, it was only 5. It's from 20 something. So it's 2016. This song Deep Dark Valley got remixed, and it got remixed into this really cool like club banger that actually I heard for the first time in Puerto Vallarta.
Oh, wow.
I was like, it was one of those nights where I was like, this is a bang. I was like so stoked on it. I was just so excited. It was New Year's Eve. I think it was New Year's Eve. Yeah, this past year. Anyway, that's coming out November 4th. Whatever Friday is in the first week of November. It's
November 3rd, I think.
3rd,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
that's
very
the next,
soon, very soon.
That's the next single, but it's not my remix. It's another artist. His name's Lucky Rose. They're out of Montreal. But great. It's a cool, what he did with it. I just never, I was like, when I started hearing it, I was like, oh my gosh, he's like cut up my vocal and made it a completely different song.
Oh.
Like it's unrecognizable. So it's really cool. Yeah. So that comes out November 3rd. And then after that, we're getting too close to Christmas to release anything. So I think it might be the new year, January, for the next single. Then it's like, 6 months of releases every month and a half, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you, like before, you know how artists would usually just do the whole like EP and like on one, like the whole album in one go.
Yeah.
Do you feel more comfortable now doing, I feel like it's now kind of like more common to see musicians do it
In pieces.
Yeah, in pieces. Like, do you feel more comfortable with that kind of format?
That's a good question.
Or is it just different? Like, oh, it's, because it has like these,
Yeah.
like for every single is like,
It's different.
it's like it's almost coming out and.
Yeah. I think I like the single format. I like releasing singles because you focus on the song rather than the album, and then you focus on 2 songs, and there's 12 others that get missed or that people don't really like listen to.
Yeah.
So when you give a song the emphasis that it deserves, it means that I've chosen a song out of 50 to release, and it's that song. I there's a good reason for it to be a single. Whereas like back in the day, it'd be like 1 or 2 singles, then the album, and then there'd be a lot of filler. And labels did that so that they could just sell records.
Yeah.
So they'd have a bunch of shit songs no one would ever listen to, but then they had like 3 songs that were like awesome.
Yeah.
And then they'd save really great songs that they might have written and had ready for that album for the next album.
Yeah.
So that they can maximize profits and sell people like 3 songs and then a bunch of like subpar songs,
so it's a
filler.
different, yeah.
Sub 41, all killer, no filler.
Yeah.
That was a great album.
That was
Mostly
album.
I'd say pretty much all of it was killer.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great way to reference back to Sum 41. Yeah.
Yeah.
All color. Yeah.
But I think this era of releasing music it comes with really they're
more thoughtful.
Yeah, they're great. There are great things about streaming, and then there are things that I wish, I don't know, because the bar is so low to release music. There are 60,000 songs or whatever released every week. Best songs climb to the top, and they get the most attention. Hopefully, but then again, now it's like streaming's, labels pay a lot of money for the playlists they get
To
on.
get the, yeah.
I'm assuming. I don't know for sure. But I'm
it would-
assuming
it would-
there's some of that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It would make sense. Like
Yeah.
if you're a business person in the music,
Yeah.
label industry.
I know labels own some editorial playlists on Spotify, so yeah, they give precedence. But like, if a song is great and it spreads on social media or TikTok or whatever, it's like there's a good reason. That song deserves the attention it got. Because it's a great song.
Because it
catchy
gained
as
its
hell.
own like traction,
Exactly.
rather than
Yeah.
being pushed. By external.
Yeah, it was warranted.
Musical, yeah.
It's like, yeah, that totally deserves to be heard. It's a great song. Yeah.
That's so like cool now that musicians do this like whole like single, like format. I kind of prefer it. I think I do miss the whole like putting a whole album
Yeah.
like to listen to for like
Yeah.
I don't know, the entirety of the day when it first came out.
Yeah.
But then I think about it and I'm like, well, but still, like I remember whenever I would listen to a whole album, I would still choose my top 2, 3, and I would listen to that specific song over and over.
Yeah.
Like I would listen to the full album, but then go back to like
Yeah.
those songs. So I'm like, it's just, I don't know. Now it's like I play the whole song like over and over once
Yeah.
it's released.
And then you take that song, mixtape.
Yeah.
The playlist is a new mixtape, It's like
Yeah.
those are the core songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think with this next album, I'm really confident with it. I'm excited about it. I think it's enough difference, but still like cohesive that it'll feel like it's a package deal. It's like this is the album and it takes you on a journey, and so I'm excited for that.
And are you still doing because you did it once, you mentioned it before, the whole like a song a day for 50 days?
50 days, yeah.
Do you still do that sometimes? Or was it only that one time?
I've only ever done it once. I've had like weeks where I've written a bunch of songs here and there, but never like 50 days. I think I capped out on good songs around day like 35 or 40.
Oh, it's still a lot.
And then the first week and a half was really getting to the good stuff. That took that long. And then I was in that like from day 14 to I'd say 35 or 38. That's where like the good stuff was predominantly happening. So that was a good exercise to like remember like the first few songs when you start writing again, they're not going to be great, or they might not be great. So just expect that they could be shit. And they'll be throwaways, but like just keep going, keep writing, and then you'll get to the gold because you're setting yourself up for the creative spirit or whatever you want to call it. You have all the tools ready to go. It's like you're set up for it. So now it's like I can receive it, I can get the message, and just I can let it flow. Yeah.
Do you feel like by doing that, like going through that exercise, that it helped you like get better at songwriting? Or was it more like now you can do it not quicker, but just like you can tap into that, composition kind of like mindset?
I think what it does is it takes the mysticism out of it a bit in a good way. It makes it, or the what's the word? It's because not every song is special. Like it's like
okay.
Like it doesn't need to be candlelit, and you don't have to be in Venice, and you don't have to have a vintage 55 Martin guitar, and you don't need like a tape recorder. You don't need all these things to write a great song. You just need to like show up every day.
Yeah.
In your pajamas, in your Komodo. For me.
Yeah.
I like to write in a Komodo now. And so I just sit on my couch and I just start strumming and just take the like barriers away from it. It's like, cause that's great. You can write in Venice with a Martin and like have, candlelight and a nice scenic view, this romanticized idea of songwriting, but like that is going to be a lot harder to attain than just like accepting what you have in front of you. Get your shitty, I shouldn't say any guitar is shitty, but like get your guitar that's not expensive. Yeah. And just start writing, start singing. Like don't romanticize it. Just, know that you're just a vessel you're just a receiver taking a message from some creative source and you're putting it into people's ears.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense. Yeah, because maybe like everyone wants to have this like romanticized moment
Yeah.
of writing a song, and it, as you mentioned, like it can just be like it doesn't have to be
Yeah. A big thing.
special. Yeah, like it'll be special once it's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to like do it for that. You just have to show up. Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to be you just have to be ready for it when it hits. Because when it is such a weird thing to talk about because it's delving into like the spiritual a bit. And I don't know whatever you believe, it's like there's something, and I feel like a lot of songwriters feel this way. It's like there's something that happens when you write a song that's like inspired by some source, some creative energy. And it's just hard to talk about because you can't prove it. It's not science. Yeah. It's just like, it's this other world. But you do what you can to prepare for that. So when you just gotta be ready for it. It's like you're out there in the water, you put up the sail, you just gotta show up every day. If it doesn't show up, take it down, go back home. Next day, do the same thing,
And how do you what's like the first thing you do once you write a song? Do you like do a voice note, like send a voice note to yourself? Do you have it like organized? Do you have like, or is it just like, oh, I remember it was like a voice note I wanted to go to that I, made for myself like 2 weeks ago. And so you look for it and you're like, oh yeah, I remember it was this. Yeah. And then you start developing that idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I'll take a few voice notes. I'm very disorganized with voice notes, but I have like libraries of unfinished songs, and sometimes I go back to them if they're good enough, if they stuck with me and I kind of remember the melody after a few months or years. Like it's like, oh yeah, that's a great melody. Like I should, if I remember it after this long and I never listened to it,
like it's
I should go find it and actually write to it. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have another question that's not music related, but like, how did you get into voice acting?
So when I was living in Seattle. I moved to Vancouver in 2015 and started dating my now wife, and Bree is an actor. And so when I moved here and we started dating, I was like, well, maybe I'll try acting. I'd taken a class in Seattle, so I started acting, and then they said, we have a voice division of our agency. Would you like to try voice acting? I was like, yeah, I have a mic. I have like a setup. So, it was one of the first I submitted with this agency, and it was a Marvel commercial. It was like I was voicing the Silver Surfer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that how you got the Silver Surfer?
That was the first one I ever got. So it was like right out the gate, I was like, oh, this is easy, but it's not. That was very lucky to get that. But I just kind of stumbled into it through, and it helps too. I think just having a knowledge of how to project your voice right, and or not right, but just like what the client wants. Like I kind of know just from singing, like what people, or just hearing voices on the radio or voices in TV and film. Yeah. It's like I think I can like, emulate that.
Yeah. So that was more like you stumbled upon that. How did you? Did you stumble upon music? Like you started playing keys when you were young, but was it because you stumbled upon like keys, or was it because you have a musical family?
My dad is a gospel singer, and so we grew up singing in church, and I sang in choir in high school.
Do you still miss it? Like do you feel like you sort of sometimes emulate that kind of feeling you had in
church?
Yeah, to
totally.
like some of your songs, yeah.
Yeah, because you
have like these like choruses in some of the songs that it's like
churchy.
Yeah. But not in like songs. Some of them like this,
Take me to church.
Yeah, well, especially that one.
Yeah.
But like there's other songs that have these like
old gospel hymn sort of qualities to them. Yeah,
and like
for sure.
Rib cage shaking kind of feeling with that kind of music.
Yeah. I love old church music. I still do. I think it's so powerful. Like I'll never, you know, when I go to church now, or like if I go to like a family reunion, my dad, all of his sisters and his brothers, all of his brothers have passed away now. But I remember years ago going to a funeral. It was my grandmother's funeral, and my uncle, Dell, and all of the sisters all got around a piano, and they all sang in like 5-part harmony.
Oh, wow.
It was just like, and it's so powerful. And I remember like, again, it's like I'm transported back right now, just thinking about like, you know, how that music at that time was so powerful, and just impressed this memory into my mind. But yeah, that music is powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah, it makes your skin like...
The choruses are so good.
Yeah.
Like...
They know a thing or two about music.
Holy smokes, yeah. I won't sing one, but it's just like, yeah, it's like, how great thou art. I remember singing that at the funeral and being like, oh, this song slays.
Is it the song about the guy that lost his wife and kids in a shipwreck? No?
Oh.
Okay. No? I don't know.
I wonder. Now I'm wondering now.
I don't know. Maybe it's not.
I remember. Yeah, right? I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Is it?
I think so.
Maybe it is that one that they...
How great thou art, how great thou art. That one?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Then sings my soul. What a chorus. It's so good. Savior God to thee, how great thou art. It's like, yeah, it's textbook
I think it is that
songwriting.
Yeah. It's textbook songwriting.
It's awesome. Yeah.
I wish I could learn how to, but yeah. I always say it in every episode. People's gonna get tired.
Oh, that you're gonna play?
That I'm not a musician. I'm like, just so you know, I'm not a musician.
Do you play?
No, I try to play the guitar, but it's just not, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
You want to play? No, right now.
I'm not gonna do that to people, to our audience.
It's a hard instrument to play. It ain't easy.
And it hurts. Like after a while, it stops hurting, but it hurts.
Yeah.
In the beginning, and you're like, oh, this is like, and also it's like, how can I make this, you know, finger longer for this, you know, like. Yeah. I can't really do this, like so.
Yeah, they get cramped.
Yeah.
I remember that. It goes away after years. Like, I don't know about years, but it goes away after a while. After a while of playing, like you just have to build the muscle to support it. But like an F chord.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. I hate that one.
It's the worst.
It's like, I can't press it like, you know,
you have
hard enough to not be, so it doesn't sound like the
clang.
Yeah. You're like, oh,
because it's so close to that like last, or the bridge. It's so close to the bridge, so it's like you have to press extra hard just to get it.
Yeah, and I'm like, how can I put something in my finger so it can look?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. I'll get there.
You get there.
Yeah. So yes, I'm not a musician. I'm just trying to play the guitar. Yet. Yes, yet. We did have another musician a few episodes back, Paul Caldwell. Shout out to Paul Caldwell. And he mentioned that he started to play music like when he was like 19 or like. And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of like.
That's late.
Like in the musician world, I feel like all of you guys started like really young. Like, oh, I was 7 when blah, blah, or I was 3 when my blah, blah, blah. Or I was like maybe 14. That's kind of late. He was 19. And I was like, wow. What happened? Like,
what clicked?
Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So I'm not 19. I'm way later than that. But you know, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Never too late, you know.
Never too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth it. It's so good to have, because you can have it all through your life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the beauty of music. You can just do it any age.
And it's for yourself. Like I don't want to delight people with my great F chord.
It is nice. Yeah. It is nice when you can nail an F chord, though.
Yeah, you're like, hey,
check it out. Got that F chord? See that? Yeah.
And then people who don't know, they're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. You sound
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, it sounded good.
You still kind of suck overall, but sure.
Yeah, I remember that. The
Did
early
you have
days
that? Yeah. Did you have that moment?
of
Those moments?
awkwardness.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I was like,
And you're like, listen
does
to
this
me, Mom.
suck? Yeah. I didn't play for my parents. I was too like nervous. I didn't like playing for my parents. Yeah, that was a whole thing. That was weird.
When did you feel that moment when you're like, okay, now you should listen to this? Because your dad sang, or sings still.
He sings, yeah.
Does your mom?
She plays a bit of piano, but not very. Yeah, I wouldn't say she's a singer. She would say the same, I think. But yeah, I was just really nervous around them with artistic expression, like just expressing music.
Because it's very
singing.
vulnerable. Yeah.
Very vulnerable. And I think just having a dad who was like a bit revered for his singing, I was like, I know I'm going to get compared to this,
Yeah.
And he's a great singer. He's got a beast of a voice. He's a great Elvis impersonator.
Oh, wow.
As well. Yeah, he can do a few different voices, but yeah, just a really like pure voice. And people.
So that's a voice acting gene in you.
Yeah.
You can do a few voices.
He can do some voices. I can do some voices. Yeah.
So thanks, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Cheers, Dad. Yeah.
So what's your next? What are your next plans besides releasing? You have the next thing coming up on November 3rd.
Yeah.
And then the
going down to LA for the month. And then I think for just for next year, I'm looking to relocate for as much of the year as possible, which is just under 6 months of the year I can spend in the States. So I'll be hopefully between LA and Nashville. That's the goal.
Away from the rain.
Just out of the rain.
Yeah.
Out of the rain. Around like May, I'll come back.
Yeah, nice.
June. Yeah. For the nice months. But yeah, just be down there. There's a massive singer-songwriter community in Nashville that I really love. And a couple of songs I've got coming out on this next album I've done with like female artists from this girl from Girl House, the lead singer of Girl House. Her name's Lauren, and my friend Bree Kennedy, who's on my label. I have a song coming out with her later this year, or next year, I guess. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So that's your muse place.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So stay tuned, everyone, for Jon's next releases. Do you want to leave any info, your tags?
Oh yeah, follow me, Jon R. Bryant, Jon R. Bryant. I think that's my tag on most things that I actually use. I use Facebook, but not that much. Yeah. Jon Bryant Music.
Nobody uses.
No
Facebook
one uses
anymore.
Facebook.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jon Bryant Music or Jon R. Bryant on Instagram and TikTok and
All that. Nice.
Yeah.
Cheers, everyone. This was really
Cheers.
fun. This was really, really fun.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the mezcal and the beer.
Yeah.
This has to be a requirement in my any interview I do from now on. It's just I need
this.
just a little mezcal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just soothing.
400 conejos.
Yeah, you got it.
Conejos.
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 Yeah, you got it.
Sí. Sí, gracias.
Sí.